G'day friends, Franny here and welcome to your considered body strength practice. For this full body 30-minute workout, you're going to need a mat, a resistance band and a set of weights. If you have options with your bands, with your weights, grab them, have them close by and mix them up as we go. My band is a medium light resistance. We'll be using that on our upper and lower body in our warm-up. And my weights are 6 kilos. I'm going to use them throughout, but no, we will be combining upper and lower. So you want something a little bit medium to heavy resistance, something that's challenging but sustainable. Listen to your body, work at the pace that best serves you and the load that best serves you. I'll be giving you options as we go, but no, this is your own, your body, your decision, make wise choices. Let's work hard, have fun. Get started in a downward facing dog. So bring your hands to the ground, step your feet back, pike your hips, and just pause here for a moment. Sink your heels towards the ground as you feel a stretch through your calves, through your hamstrings, and a bit of length from your underarms towards the fronts of your hips. Take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, ripple forward into a plank. Long straight line from head to heels, shoulders over wrist creases. Lift your quads away from your knees as you firm your low abdomen in. Really push into the ground, puff through your upper back. Take a breath in, and then breathe out. Lift your hips back into your downward facing dog. So we're just gonna roll through here. Slow is the way to go. Feeling your body as you start to move, gently building heat. Now you might stay right here, or for the next 30 seconds, you have the option to start to pull your knee in towards your chest as you ripple forward into your plank, and then step back into your downward facing dog. Alternating from side to side, but maintaining that long straight line. Feeling the work of your abdomen to pull your knee towards your chest and honoring your neutral spine position. So not letting your hips lift with that layer. We're going to take one more on each side or two more plank to down dogs. And then we're going to find all fours and we're going to bring our band into our hands. So when you're ready, drop your knees down beneath your hip sockets and then slide your band over the tops of your hands. Now I like to walk my hands just a fraction further forward of my shoulders. Your left hand will anchor your band down, your right hand will grip it. Start to pull your right elbow towards your right hip, big squeeze of your lats, big squeeze beneath your armpits, and then with control, release. Big row, and then release towards the ground. Now, it might feel a little awkward as you extend, but we really just want to focus on the pull here. We're firm through our left palm to anchor the band, but our focus isn't the push on that side, but rather the pull on the right side. No rotation, your shoulder girdle stays square, and you're finding that element of plank. Even though we're on our knees, our low belly is firm and our pelvis and spine are neutral. That way we are creating the most stable foundation for our body. Don't think about pulling your elbow back, but rather down and in, getting a big contraction through the right side of your back body. That's your last one. Set your right hand down. That's your anchor now. Maybe you shift it just a fraction further forward of your shoulder. Grip the band with your left hand and then start to pull and squeeze. No rotation. This is preparation for the rowing we will be doing with our weights once we get into the body of the workout. Notice how you're breathing. Notice the subtleties of your body. Maybe there's a little bit of sweat starting to build. Maybe you can feel a little bit of a tremor every time you pull, emphasizing that contraction at the top of the movement, pulling your elbow down towards your hip and in towards your midline. Steady breathing. Now we're going to come into a tall kneeling position after this for a lat pull. Really, we're setting our lats up for success. For the remainder of the class, we're going to be squatting, we're going to be hip hinging, and they are key players in both those movements, not just the lower body. This is your last one. Nice job. Set your hand down just for a moment. Come up into a tall kneeling position. Band around your hands, arms up and overhead. Now you might find a slight hinge, sinking your butt back towards your heels, but try not to round through your upper back, even though your head might get in the way a little bit here. Pull your elbows down, band towards the nape of your neck, and then lift back up. So I've made the mistake of wearing a chunky hair clip here. So I have to drop my chin just a fraction. And it may not be a huge amount of load, but just like in our all fours row, we want to emphasize the contraction. Really focus on the pull, the muscles that are working there, shoulder blades anchored down your back, and then big reach. Warming up our shoulder joint, prepping it for the work to come. Now we've got 10 more seconds here, so just 1 or 2 more slow and controlled reps before we come to standing, and we're going to step into our band. This is your last one. Nice job, come on up. Step into your band, slide it over your knees and around your thighs. The lower it is, or the closer it is to your knees, the more challenging this will be. Shift your weight onto your right leg, soft bend in the knee, hand on your hips. Now we're going to stand on one leg. You can always take this into an all fours variation if that feels better to you. It's called a fire hydrant, but this I'm calling a standing clam. So you're going to start to laterally lift your left knee out to the side, and then with control, bring it back down. Bring your hands to your hips if you hadn't already. Feel where your hips are in space. This is asymmetrical, there's a lot going on, but we want to try and keep our pelvis as neutral as possible. Soft bend in your right knee will increase your stability rather than locking out through the joint. If you've got a wall or a couch or a sturdy surface close by, maybe you hold on for balance support. The goal here, or the main focus, isn't the balancing on one leg, but rather feeling the activation and the stabilization through your glute min, your glute med, your outer hip muscles. We're going to come into a half rep squat after this, setting your left leg down in one more rep. Breathe your way through it. Nice job. Set your left foot down, athletic stance, slight external rotation of your toes. We're going to lower, pressing your outer thighs into the band. We're going to lift up halfway. It's not a bounce, nice and controlled. Lower back down to your depth, and then push into the floor. Stand all the way up without thrusting your hips at the top. So we lower down, nice and slow. Thighs come parallel to the ground. Lift up halfway. Lower back down. Find those train tracks, those nice straight lines, and then push, squeeze, lift, dropping your tailbone down, shortening the space between your pubic bone and your navel, activating through your core. Now you might be thinking here, we're moving too slowly, I'm not getting enough reps. That's okay. It's not about volume here, but mind-body connection, building healthy habits with our movement patterns. We're not racing through, but feeling what's working, being in harmony with our body to better understand it. This is your last one. We're going to find our standing clam on the opposite side. So this time your weight is in your left leg, soft bend in the knee. Find that bend in your right. We're going to lift laterally and then lower with control. You can always drag a toe along the ground if you need that extra bit of balance support and you don't have something stable close by. Maybe you feel a difference between side 1 and side 2. That's nothing to judge. Something that I would suggest is if you can identify a weaker side, maybe next time start on that one first. It's a good way to kind of judge and gauge your reps or how many of the motion you move through to create balance across both sides. Taking your knee or your thigh as high as you can without imbalancing your hips. Nice job. Set your right foot down. Let's find our squat once again. Athletic stance. Knees press wide. As you reach your butt back, chest stays lifted. Find your half repetition. It's not a bounce. It's nice and controlled. Thighs come parallel to the ground. And then big push as you rise. Notice your breathing. Really using your exhale to gather everything in towards your center line. Squeezing your bottom on the way down as well as on the way up. Stay proud with your chest. Shoulders are wide and your shoulder blades are anchored down and back. Try not to look at the ground, but rather look forward and towards the edge of the wall and the floor. Let's do one more before we pick up our weights. We're coming into a staggered RDL. Sliding off your band next time you come to rise. Okay, one weight in each hand. Right leg forward, left big toe in line with your right heel. Stand up tall, tailbone long, low belly firm, shoulder blades anchored. Keep your knuckles on your thighs as you start to pull your hips back. Spine stays neutral. Squeeze beneath your armpits. Lower, lower, lower. You're heavy in your front leg. Find your knees, the tops of your knees. Feel the load in your glute and your hamstring on your right side. And then push into your right heel as you lift up. Let's keep going. Notice how you have to squeeze beneath your armpits that little bit more to keep your weights on your body. And again, we're moving slowly. We're not racing through. Moving slowly so we can really load up our muscles, not just with the weights in our hands, but the time we spend resisting gravity under tension. Keeping your low belly firm to maintain that beautiful neutral spine, just a subtle S-curve, that subtle sway in your low back. Keeping your collarbones wide and your shoulder blades plugging down so there's no flexion in your upper back. Let's take one more. And then we're going to find a pretty short lunge stance. So I'm just going to step my left leg back about a foot further. Both knees bend. Your weights will frame your forward leg. And then we'll row both weights down and in towards our hips. And then lower with control. Big pull. And then lower with control. Your front knee's stacked over your ankle. And even though our lower body isn't moving in this moment, you can feel the load because of the squat in your forward leg. Feel where your pelvis is in space. Square it off. And trying not to shrug your shoulders as you pull your weights up. That's why we think of that down and in, rather than up and back, as we pull our weights towards our body. A little bit more powerful as you pull, and a little bit slower as you lower. Let's take one more, and then we're going to switch to our staggered RDL on the opposite side. Lift all the way up, left foot forward, right big toe in line with your forward heel, weights on your body, shoulder blades anchored, tailbone heavy. Let's go. Start to hinge, pull your hips back. The degree in your knee bend doesn't change. Weights stay on your body. Find your kneecaps, no lower, and then big squeeze as you lift without thrusting your hips forward at the top. Everything stacked beneath the crown of your head. Lowering with control. Start stop at your kneecaps, and then lift on up. So some of us who are super, or that little bit more flexible in their hamstrings, might be able to go lower with their hinge, and that's cool, but our focus isn't really going low here. It's about creating load, creating as much tension in your glutes as your hamstrings as possible. And you might find that when you slow down, really slow down, you may not need to go as deep to get that good sensation through the back line of your body. Squeeze beneath your armpits really tight, firm through your low belly. We're going to take one more before we'll step our stance a fraction further back and find our bent over row with our left leg forward. All right, adjust your stance, finding that split squat, weights framing your forward knee, square off your pelvis, stay broad with your collarbones, anchored with your shoulder blades, and then find that big pull squeeze, and then lower, nice and slowly. Bit more power as you pull, down and in, elbows towards your hip points, and then lower with control. You can adjust your stance if you need. You can always step both feet together and then work in an isometric hinge. Chest up, shoulder blades down and back. Let your breath guide your movement. Exhale as you pull, and then slow inhale as you lengthen your weights, your knuckles back down towards the ground. Feeling what's working and meeting the sensation as it arises with curiosity and an open mind. If it's hard, that doesn't mean it's bad or that you're doing it wrong. It means you're exactly where you need to be. That's your last one. Stand all the way up. We're heading back to our first side. Now you can return to your staggered stance, single leg RDL, or you can start to lift your leg. The movement's very much the same. So you start to hinge from your hips, but this time your left leg will float. Keep your weight underneath your shoulders or on your body as best you can. Find your edge, feeling the load in your glute and your hamstring. That's the signal. And then squeeze as you lift. Feeling the contraction in your inner thighs and quads at the top as well. Hinging slowly. If balance is stealing your attention, return to the kickstand option that we were doing before. Can you find more connection and awareness to the muscles in the middle of your upper back here? In between your shoulder blades, they are working hard as well to maintain that gorgeous neutral spine position as you hinge, as you increase the load. Not letting your shoulders round forward, and then driving through your forward heel as you lift. Let's take one more, and then we're going to step our left leg back, finding an inclined crescent lunge, and we'll repeat our row once again. So right leg is still your base, knee over ankle, incline your spine, no rounding over your chest, anchor your shoulder blades down and back, find a little lift through the tips of your ears. And again, big pull, elbows down towards your hips and in towards your midline, and then slow release, arms extend. Big pull, big reach. Listening to your body in this moment. Not trying to rush through. Knowing that slowing it down and going through the motions really intentionally is a great opportunity for growth. Building strength, not just in body, but in mind. The two really, they're not separate. Let's take one more on this side before we switch legs. Hold that contraction at the top, nice. And then lower your weights, stand all the way up. Single leg RDL with your left leg as your base. Again, you can find your staggered stance. What do you need in this moment? Start to hinge, squeezing your left glute on, feeling your outer hips as they stabilize, the work in your ankle, in your calf. Weight stay on your body. And then big squeeze, lifting your quad away from your kneecap as you rise. Noticing how this side might be different. Not judging it as weakness or as anything wrong, but just something to know about your body and where you're at. Maybe it's a little flag to do something differently next time. Maybe starting on a different side. Or just paying that extra little bit more attention. Squeezing beneath your armpits, not letting your weights fall away from your center line. Feeling the pressure through your big toe, your heel, your baby toe, the lift of your arch, throughout the entire movement. Let's take one more, and then we find our final bent over row. Landing your back foot down, complete the rep. Incline your lunge, back leg is extended, squatting into your forward knee, arms extend. Big pull, and then slow reach. Notice where your gaze is, at the top edge of your mat, or just a further fraction further in front of it. Not looking down at your foot, not slouching or slumping over your forward knee. Being proud in your posture as an outward gesture of how proud you are in your effort for showing up for your body. How we hold our body speaks. So hold your body with compassion, realizing what a privilege it is to have a body that can move and can exist. One that's healthy, one that's happy. Nice job. That was your last one. We're going to find a squat with a press. Keeping going with that half rep we were doing before. So rack your weights on your shoulders, find your athletic stance. Slowly bend your knees, press your thighs wide, sink your butt down and back, chest up. Find your half rep, it's not a bounce. Lower down, and then this time as you stand all the way up, press your weights overhead. After all that rowing, this will feel really good. Lower down with your weights, with your hips, press your knees wide, find your edge, lift up halfway, hips parallel to the ground, and then drive into your feet. Feel the power rise all the way from your toes to your knuckles, and then lower with control. Resist the urge to race through here. We're not bouncing, we're feeling powerful, but we're not letting momentum take over. We're going to find an isometric hold in a plank. After one more rep, you're on that home stretch. Dig deep, you've got this, breathe big. Lower your weights with control, set them down to the ground, bent knees, flat back, plant your palms, walk your feet back and hold. You're in your high plank, soft bends in the eyes of the elbows, shoulder blades pull towards the waistband of your pants, and then puff because you're plugging down so hard into the ground. Firm through your low belly, you can stay right here, breathing through it. The only way is to breathe through it. Or you have the option to add on that slow knee to chest without piking your hips, keeping the long straight line, head, shoulders, hips, heels. If you've taken that layer, we'll do one more on each side. We're not running, it's slow and controlled, we're feeling our core. And then stand on up again. Flat back, bent knees, squat as you lift. Rack your weight onto your shoulders. One more round through. Lower down. Find your half rep. Sit down, push up. Rib cage stays anchored toward your pubic bone as you press your weights overhead. And again, there's no shrug of your shoulders towards your ears. Shoulders stay down as arms lift up. Really feel the energy from the floor through your muscles. We're not locking out our joints at any point. Using the contraction of our muscles to build stability and to build strength. Big exhale at the top, it feels good. We've got time for about 2 or 3 more reps. How can you go that little bit deeper? And that doesn't mean you push through discomfort. It means you explore your edge. One more together. And we find our final plank. Good job. Set your weights down. Find your plank. Hold. Now we're not going to add on any layers this time. We're just going to be right here. Breathing through it. When you feel yourself wanting to check out, take a deeper inhale and a slower exhale. And take a moment to thank your body for everything it does. It will carry you through this next 10 seconds. Breathe your way through. The only way is through. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice job. Lift your hips. Widen your stance. Maybe your feet come off your mat as you walk your hands back and just find this little bit of a ragdoll forward fold. Maybe walking your hands over towards the right, leaning into your left side body, and then walking your hands over towards the left, leaning into your right side body. Maybe just finding that baby elephant sway left and right. Oh, it feels good. So let's just do it one more time. Slowing down thoughts, slowing down movement, slowing down the rate of our breathing and our heart rate as well. And then vertebra at a time, rising all the way up to stand. Bringing your feet beneath your hips and then stepping your right foot forward, coming on down for a low lunge. Bringing your arms up and then bringing your left hand to the nape of your neck, catching top of your left elbow with your right palm, and then leaning up and over to the side. Really squeezing your left glute on to get into the front of your left hip. And then coming up, setting your left hand down, and then finding a nice twist, rotating your sternum towards the inseam of your right thigh. Maybe you have a little rainbow motion of your arm, just to really kind of work into our shoulder girdle. So I'm working so hard to stabilize, so now we're just getting a good release. And then bring your right hand to the top of your right thigh to help lift yourself back up. And then we'll just switch to the opposite side. So left leg forward, arms up, right hand to nape of your neck, left hand to right elbow or upper arm, and then leaning up and over sideways towards your forward leg. Really squeezing your right bum cheek on, maybe letting your hips sink, your left knee travel a fraction further forward. Just noticing how everything feels as it starts to slow down as you come in to land. Lift on up, and then set your right hand down, finding your twist over to the left. And again, you don't need to be still. You can add on some motion. big wave or a big sweep with your left arm. Rotating through your thoracic spine, opening up across your chest. And then bringing your left hand to the top of your left thigh as you press yourself up. And then just find any kind of upright seated position. Closing down the eyes as you give your shoulders a roll in one direction. And then back in the other. And then taking a big full inhale, reaching outwards, upwards, nice and wide, and then bringing your hands down onto your body. Again, meeting yourself with curiosity and compassion. Grateful to your body just for being right here. Taking a big breath in. An open mouth sigh, you made it. Thanks so much for lifting weights with me. I hope to see you again soon.